In the early morning, while most of the city was still asleep, a dark tragedy claimed 23 innocent lives. On the 14th of September 2017, at the Tahfiz Centre in Kampung Datuk Keramat, Kuala Lumpur, flames spread rapidly, trapping students inside their own dormitory. In less than an hour, 21 students and 2 wardens lost their lives, not because of a natural disaster, not because of a technical failure. However, this is due to a human action. What was meant to be a place of learning and protection became a place of death and unanswered questions. Who was responsible? Why did it happen? How could such tragedy occur in the heart of a modern city? This is a story of the Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah fire. A story of loss, of justice, and of questions that changed many lives forever. At around 5 o'clock in the morning, flames began to engulf the students' dormitory building. Within moments, escape routes were blocked, thick smoke filled the space, and 23 occupants, consist of 21 students and 2 wardens, were trapped inside. In the early stages, the fire was believed to have been caused by a technical fault. However, further investigation by the authorities later classified the incident as an act of arson, a fire deliberately set.
So the building consisted of 3 stories, the top floor, the third level house, so the students' dormitory, and this was where the fire occurred. So the point of ignition was located in the central area near the staircase, which served as the building's main access and escape route. So when the fire started at this location, the primary exit was immediately blocked by intense heat and thick smoke. So the victims were found near the doorways and at both ends of the dormitory room. So this indicates that they were not gathered in a single area but were scattered throughout the space. So suggesting that they were attempting to escape and find shelter from the smoke. So this indicates that they were not gathered in a single area but were scattered throughout the space. So suggesting that they were attempting to escape or find shelter from the smoke. So most of the victims did not die from direct burns but from inhalation of the smoke that rapidly filled the enclosed space. So the fire occurred at approximately 5:10 AM when the students were still asleep and their level of alertness was low. So with the main escape route blocked, ventilation limited, and only a very short window of time, the chances of survival become almost impossible.
In a fire investigation, flames do not only destroy, they also leave traces behind. At the scene, fire forensic investigators examined various forms of physical evidence to determine how the fire started, how it spread, and whether it occurred naturally or was deliberately set.
At first, we considered the possibility of an electrical malfunction. However, once the physical evidence was examined, several indicators clearly show that the fire was deliberate, which samples containing traces of petrol were collected from the walls, doors, shoe racks, and towel racks was analyzed in the laboratory. The presence of hydrocarbon compounds consistent with the petrol, which confirmed that a flammable liquid had been used to initiate or accelerate the fire. 2 LPG cylinders were found placed in front of the main dormitory exit, one in an upright position and the other lying on its sides. Their placement indicated that they were not there by chance, and they functioned to intensify and accelerate the fire. Burn patterns such as clean burn and spalling were observed at the dormitory entrance, which indicating exposure to extremely high with localized heat. These patterns are commonly associated with the point of origin of a fire, and they help us determine where the fire began.
We discovered residues of burnt materials and synthetic fibers on surface of concrete and wooden furniture. This indicate the presence of foreign materials or the movement of certain objects in the area before or during the fire. The presence of PVC suggested that specific plastics materials had melted due to the high heat. This could have originated from the building components or objects brought into the area, and it helped us understand the types of materials involved in the combustion. Objects such as lighter were also recovered, serving as the direct physical link between an individual and the point of ignition. In this case, it was found at a relevant location after information was provided by the suspect, making it an important piece of supporting evidence. In the footage obtained, an individual is seen near the side of the building and paused briefly in a narrow passage close to the entrance. The same individual is then observed moving away from the area several minutes later. When synchronized with other recordings, witness statements and also physical evidence, CCTV footage allowed us to reconstruct the movement of the individual around the scene. It is not evidence of guilt, it is evidence of presence, timing and movement, which is then analyzed together with other evidence to build a more complete picture.
2 teenagers were charged with 23 counts of murder in connection with this tragedy. The charges carry a mandatory death sentence upon conviction. However, because both accused were under the age of 18 at the time of the incident, the court was bound by the provision of the Child Act 2001. And this marks the end of the investigation into the deeply heartbreaking Tafiz fire case. This case teaches us that safety is not a choice, but a responsibility. That the supervision of youth, access to hazardous materials, and building safety are not trivial matters. And most importantly, that every action came with consequences. May the tragedy not be remembered only as a story of sorrow, but as a warning, so that it will never happen again.
Pembelaan yang membabitkan remaja lelaki yang didakwa membunuh 23 individu dalam kebakaran di pusat tahfiz Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah Kuala Lumpur.
Pusat tahfiz Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah di Kampung Datuk Keramat di Ibu Negara hingga meragut 23 nyawa dilanjutkan reman selama 7 hari.
Seorang remaja lelaki yang didakwa membunuh 23 individu dalam kebakaran di Pusat Tahfiz Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah di Ibu Negara hampir 3 tahun lalu akan diketahui esok.
Seorang ibu pula cukup sayu kerana ada menerima warkah terakhir daripada anaknya yang terkorban dalam tragedi itu. Dalam surat yang ditujukan kepada ibunya, Nur Hayati Khalid, 42 tahun, mangsa Allahyarham Amil Ashraf Abdul Rashid, 11 tahun, berhasrat membawa ibu dan ayahnya ke syurga.